So, Mr. and Mrs. Entrepreneur, you want to do your taxes on your own? You want to do your own tax strategy and save some money? Well, this is a little bit of a guide for you. Hey there, my name is Kenner French. I'm with vastsolutionsgroup.com. You've entered the Vast Vault strategies for entrepreneurs. And this is really for people who want to save money, who don't want someone else to do their taxes, but they still want kind of high level tax strategies. And we're going to go over the 8 best tax saving tips for entrepreneurs. So this should get you going. All right, so let's talk about personal taxes and business taxes. First, personal taxes are pretty simple. Generally speaking, you kind of get what you probably know what you're doing. 1040. You probably know how to do that. But then again, the business taxes gets a little bit more difficult. So, but maybe these 8 tips are going to help you in understanding how to do your own taxes if that's where you're interested. You want to maybe go it cheaply. This might be for you. The livelihood of any company is at least partially dependent on the ability to minimize tax liability, because sometimes taxes, I would say generally taxes are kind of the highest net expense you're going to have in a business. Sure, there's labor, but then again, what I would say is you can usually control your tax liability. You can usually lower it. Usually you're overpaying it. Employees, I consider an investment. And if they're not, you got bigger issues. But sure, taxes are not enjoyable, but then again, if you tackle them head on, it's going to help you. Now, if you're not going to work with an advisor, I get it. For whatever reason, you want to do it yourself. And I get that. You want to save money. But then again, you don't want to leave money on the table. And hopefully this will help you. So let's get right to it. So number one, you need to keep your tax and financial documents for at least 7 years at a minimum, right? If you're ever audited, you'll need those records. Any claims made at any time require supporting documentation. If you don't have it, you'll probably lose an audit. Keep good records, and it's an excellent idea, but then your rate of return if you know where all your documentation is, if you've kept good records, etc. So that's number one. That's number one of the 8 tax saving tips for entrepreneurs. Number 2, you got to know your deadline. If you want to go it alone, know your deadline. It's not all about April 15th. While most business entities can wait until tax day, C Corps are required to file a little bit at different times. S Corps are filed at different times. Sometimes you want to have an off calendar year, off fiscal year, depending on the situation. You just need to know your deadline so you're not late. And that's really impactful if you're late in doing your taxes for any entity, as an example, because you get penalized, et cetera, et cetera. Number 3, understand your loans. We had someone come to us just last week, and man, he didn't understand the way he kind of structured his loan. It's going to end up impacting him pretty negatively. Now, the IRS doesn't classify most business loans as income, but the interest paid on loans is generally a deductible expense, by the way. So it's important to have records regarding the use of any of these loans. It might be for equipment or finance, whatever the case is. But so just understand the loan element when you're taking out loans, paying back loans, et cetera, or even, loaning money out. It could be beneficial to you. And if you're, doing your taxes on your own, you need to know a little bit about loans. We're almost halfway there. Number 4 of, again, the best 8 tax saving tips for, entrepreneurs, especially if you're doing your own. This should be helpful. Know your different types of audits. There are several types of audits, and some are a little bit more intimidating than others. There's the office audit. And what is that specifically? Well, it's, when, an office audit, it's a simple audit. You'll be kind of requested to report to your local office at the IRS and resolve some type of discrepancy in some way. A correspondence audit. You'll be asked to send in a document via email or fax, or maybe email, but usually it's mail or fax. Yeah, it's old school. A field audit. These tend to be very thorough audits, and they're conducted at your place of business usually. Hence the reason field audit. And then criminal investigation audit. This is scary. There you have to take on some professional assistance. Consult with your lawyer if that's the case. That you can't really do on your own, because therefore you might be suspected of tax evasion. That's scary. All right. Number 5, pay your quarterly tax bill. This is a common mistake. If you're doing it on your own, and if you have an employer, whatever the case is, your taxes are regularly taken out of your paycheck if you have an employer. But if you're self-employed, you're required to estimate your own tax liability and pay it. Failure to pay this can result in a tax penalty that can be pretty significant. So, you might also end up with a bigger tax bill than you can handle in a single payment. So make a habit out of saving aside a portion of your profit each month in anticipation of paying your quarterly taxes. Well, here we go. Prepare early. I know no one likes to do that. But if you're going to do it on your own or try to, do a .com type of tax filing on your own, the vast number of tax filers, they wait until last minute. If you're expecting a refund, this can be really the worst time to file at the end. The IRS is, overwhelmed with all the tax returns that pour in. However, this can also be the best time to avoid an audit. Preparing your tax return early leaves you time to, find any missing documents, or, maybe you can even find a tax savings that you weren't thinking about. If you're doing it on your own, then you can do some research and try to lower your taxes, and that might save you some money. Get help. Again, if you're doing it on your own, you need a little bit of help. I would say, go seek some an independent party that at least can get an eye, maybe spend 15 minutes, 20 minutes with you, maybe not charge you, and give you a little bit of an idea of whatever the tax liability of the day is with respect to your taxes. Number 8, avoid using taxes collected from employee payroll to pay business expenses. This is a common practice that really the IRS does not like. When you withhold taxes, you need to send them to the IRS. It's very important. So hopefully those 8 elements really are, if you're really thinking about going out on your own, these are the best 8 tax saving tips for entrepreneurs if really you're thinking about doing it on your own. Now, I'm not going to criticize you for doing it on your own. You want to save money for whatever reason, but then again, at least do these 8 things. They should potentially help you going forward. If you still have some questions, if you still need a little bit of help, I would say go back to your advisor, someone that you trust, I should say. But if you need some help, they need some help, things are a little bit more too technical per se, we're just a click away at vastsolutionsgroup.com. Again, vastsolutionsgroup.com. My name's Kenner French. I've been here since '06. Any of our professional advisors are, they know exactly what's going on as it relates to the tax code, qualified plans, bookkeeping, accounting. We're a nationwide firm, and if we can help you in any way, please feel free. Reach out. Again, one click away at vastsolutionsgroup.com.